Hey everyone, Father Lane here. Welcome once again to St. Vincent de Paul Regional Seminary, where we're getting ready for a new academic year. And today I want to welcome you to my third theology Pauline letters course. This is a course I've now taught for 4 years here at the seminary, and in many ways is a first love for me. I wrote my doctoral dissertation on St. Paul's letters to the Galatians and his second letter to the Corinthians, and so it's a joy for me to share with you my love for this particular part of the Bible. Experience has taught me that Paul's letters don't engender the same enthusiasm from seminarians that the Gospels do. And that's understandable to some extent. For example, you look at this passage from 1 Corinthians where St. Paul is talking about what these people, whom he calls Chloe's people, have reported to him, and that there are rivalries in Corinth, and it's enough to leave us staring at the biblical text saying, who is Chloe? Why does she have people? Who are the Corinthians? What rivalries are there? I want a narrative. Give me a narrative. These letters can be a little difficult. A lot of it just because we're dealing with the genre. It can feel like we're overhearing one end of a telephone conversation. However, we know that Paul's letters are particularly important in understanding the early church. Indeed, the magisterium taught back in 1964 that there are 3 stages of gospel development. We're all familiar with the written gospels, but before that was the oral preaching, the kerygma. And in St. Paul's letters, we have little snapshots of that kerygma. We have pictures of Paul's real-time preaching being offered to specific churches, to specific communities. That having been said, Paul's letters are not particularly easy to interpret. You'll see on your screen here a number of questions that we ask when we interpret letters. Some of them parallel the same kinds of questions we ask when we interpret narratives or poetry, the sorts of texts you've read already in your biblical courses. But some others are unique to letters. Who's the sender? Who are the recipients? Where are the sender and recipients when the letter is being written? Why is this letter being written? In other words, what persuasive effect does St. Paul want it to achieve, and how does he go about achieving that persuasive effect? In this course, we're going to spend the first 4 weeks going deep into these questions. We're going to focus extensively on methodology, and we're going to examine what we might call St. Paul's palette, just as an artist paints a picture. What are the different things on St. Paul's palette as he writes these letters to persuade the Christians of Rome or Corinth or Thessalonica or Philippi or wherever? We're going to especially look at Paul's recurrent metaphors. You'll notice on your screen here we have all of these metaphors, and they are metaphors. When Paul first wrote them, he was using symbolic language to articulate what difference the coming of Christ makes in our lives. But you can see, as you look at this list of metaphors, these have become, over the last 2,000 years, technical terms that we use in theology to describe specific aspects of the sacred mysteries. We're going to go into the depths of what these terms mean. What did Paul mean by them when he first used these terms, when he first coined these terms, or when he adopted these terms from the Old Testament and gave them a new meaning in light of the New Testament? And what do they mean today? Then after we complete these first 4 weeks, we're going to be focused principally on methodology. We're then going to go letter by letter in as close to chronological order as we can. We'll discuss a little bit why that's not always so straightforward in the Pauline corpus. But we're going to go through the 13 letters that are ascribed to Paul in the New Testament. And then we're also, in summary form at the end of the semester, going to talk about these other 5 letters, Hebrews, James, 1st and 2nd Peter, and Jude, that we call the Catholic letters, or Hebrews really is considered its own separate thing. So we're going to look at all these letters in this course, and I hope you enjoy doing it with me. As we get ready for the new semester, I encourage you to check out 2 things. First, my YouTube channel, I have a playlist of 30 mini lectures, and by mini lectures, these are 10-minute long little snippets of information I want you to have before we go in depth in class. I teach a flipped classroom. That is, we have these lectures in miniature form where you're going to hear a little bit about what you're going to read, especially when we get to reading the different letters of St. Paul in the Bible, or even when you're reading from one of the other books for this course. The idea is that you watch these mini lectures first, you then do the reading for class, and then when we come together, we can go deep into discussion we can go much deeper than we otherwise would be able to into these letters that St. Paul wrote. These YouTube videos are available for everyone in the world. They're out here in the YouTube universe. For those of you who are enrolled in the course at St. Vincent de Paul, check also your Canvas page, which will show you the different modules, what we're going to be talking about each week. Everything is already uploaded for your convenience. I hope you enjoy this foray into Paul's letters. As we enter into this semester, let us all read well and pray well.